Okay, what I'd like to do then is just start with a really basic question. What is social media? So I want to just refer to a book called Designing for Community, written about 10 years ago. And Pawlicek talked about the fact at that time that internet technologies were being developed that often just sat there like a static page, and made this comment that any technology that did not allow users to communicate directly with each other is doomed to failure. And this was in a whole book about how do you build essentially build what we might call a social media site today. This was last month's top 15 list, sort of reading across that in terms of amount of use. I'm not sure if this was hits or logins, but it was Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, MySpace, Google+, DeviantArt, LiveJournal, and so on. I'll have to admit, some of these I knew about but have never used. Some of them I've used and would never use again. And some of them I use quite often. And I suspect that may be true for many of you as well. This is an international list, and it's not the list that we necessarily would see like in Champaign or even in the U.S. And so things like, to me, Cafe Mom, MyLife, Badoo, Orkut, those are ones that I am sort of the least familiar with. I've mostly seen referred to. But for many people, social media is much broader than that. There are the microblogging sites like Twitter, or in China, Weibo. We have the social networks like Facebook and Google+. But of course, you're right. The my dash was MySpace. But also, many people would consider YouTube, Flickr, Instagram, sites for sharing information like that are also social media. But then so are blogs, which of course not only blog information that the blogger is sending out, but often have discussion spaces. And then email itself and discussion forums, web forums, bulletin boards are also often viewed as social media. But we might even go broader. Some people talk about transmedia storytelling, telling stories through, say, written text, photo stories, video, crossing over genres, wikis, including just wiki spaces in general, but also sites like WikiLeaks, which, of course, was very much in the news with Julian Assange's troubles and with Bradley Manning's prosecution. The Wikipedia, which has now become the largest encyclopedia there's ever been. But others might consider podcasts, internet and community radio as social radio, as social media. And then even just our use of the web, when we go and we're tracked by ad trackers and cookies, when we do social bookmarking, all of those become social media. And of course, Skype and Google Voice and other kinds of direct voice communication. We might include multiplayer games, GPS, geographic positioning systems, and geographic information systems. So I know you all know GPS. You've probably got it all, have it in your phones. GIS, which exists through things like OpenStreetMaps, Google Maps. Many people would say Apple Maps' problem was it wasn't social media enough. And then even algorithms like the Google PageRank algorithm. This is the tool that Google uses to decide which sites to give to you when you search for something. And we can talk more about this later, but just briefly, it uses both authority in the sense of how many people link to it. So if you search for the planet Jupiter, you're likely to get a NASA site because practically everybody links to NASA for about space issues. And also, how much does the site link out? Anyway, those algorithms, some people have argued, are a kind of social media. Of course, e-government now, the U.S. petition site has been in the news recently. You may have seen the latest thing where somebody, a petition to create a Death Star, a la Star Wars, met the threshold. And then open source software has itself is a kind of social media. If you look at the code for open source software, you often see not only changes to the code, but you see commentary within. People talk about sites or changes to the software that they particularly liked, or changes that they admired, or things they didn't like. There's also a whole communities for, say, bug reporting. The Mozilla open source browser has a corresponding community called Bugzilla that is used for hackers to communicate with one another.